Hey, good morning, everybody. How's it
Good
going
morning,
today? I'm
everyone.
sorry, I'm like still sitting here fighting with things. It's gonna be that kind of day. I can see it already. Um, Joe, how are you? Welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Well, I really do appreciate it. I know this isn't a normal day that you and I are alive and kicking together here, so I appreciate you being here. And it looks like there's a huge delay going out with like a with the telling everybody we're live. So I don't know. We might have a slow trickle in here, but 100 air made it.
Hey,
Nice.
there he is.
Appreciate it. Finally catching up. Well, I'm glad to see you. Hopefully, you'll be joining tomorrow for Crypto on the Rocks. There, 100 air. Love to hear about your adventures down in Nashville as well. Badell should be there talking about his. So hopefully, you'll be able to join us there. Appreciate it. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. We're going to be talking about the new numbers on the debt ceiling, and basically banking collapses galore on the way. So, but first things first, let's jump into. If my mouse will unfreeze here. Let's jump into the status of everything on the crypto markets. Joe, I figure maybe we can jump in maybe the top 50 or so, and then we'll go from there. Does that work for you?
Yep.
All right. And hey, I can talk a lot, so you feel free to like push me out the way and say what you got to say there. But all right, let's take a look. Bitcoin 64,774. When I first logged into CoinGecko this morning, it was up in the 66 range. So it's definitely on a downtrend at this point anyway. What say you, sir?
Yeah, right now Bitcoin is it's shorts are getting liquidated, longs are getting liquidated. Nobody knows which direction it's going. It's not giving us a definite direction. And then when it starts to look like it's giving us direction, it changes.
Yeah,
So
just
it's real tricky right now.
yeah, back the other way. Hey, Automatic Beats in the house. Welcome, sir. Always glad you're here. All right, well, let's keep going. I agree. It's a whipsaw action going on with BTC right now. It can't make its mind up. Um, Ethereum 3187 down. Well, I mean, it's saying it's up 1.5% in the last 7 days, but I mean, it didn't seem like all that long ago it was over 33, frankly.
Right.
You know, BNB 573 up 2.4 in the last 7. And you know what? I think that's strong for BNB given all the FUD and crap with Binance.
Extremely strong. Not only that, but also with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was going down, BNB was kind of holding its own.
Yes,
So yeah, BNB is really strong.
I agree. It's kind of like it's decoupled from
Right.
Bitcoin. I don't I hesitate to say that because you know how that goes. But
Right.
it really does. You're right. It was holding on when everything else was dropping. Solana 169.88 looks like it's up 1.4 on the week, but down 7% in the last 24. And
Mm-hmm.
that's definite for sure. When we were live on Tuesday, it was like almost at 190, and then poof, here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. XRP was looking really good. I mean, down 1.6% over the week. It was up and high over, wasn't it like 65 or almost 70 cents at one point, I think?
Yeah. And one thing with XRP, I was really surprised, and I still am surprised that it hasn't retraced. For me personally, I don't like XRP. Many
Yes.
reasons why, but one of the reasons is as soon as it gives you gains, it takes it all away. It gives you
Yeah.
gains, takes it all away. This time, it gave us gains, came back, I think, like just barely, maybe 23% or so, kind of stayed. And like, I'm very surprised right now with XRP. So,
I got you. I got you. And I'm sorry. I forgot to come back to the comments for Automatic Beats with Soul to the Moon, baby. Uh, so I have to come back and grab that right there. Um, let's see. What else? Doge. I mean, down 2.5% over the week, still 12 cents. I don't know. To me, I don't know. That's a solid price for Doge these days,
yeah.
in my opinion. Toncoin up 4.5. It's one of the few greens in the market right now
Right.
at 682. I know you're more on the Toncoin thing than I am here, so feel free to.
Yeah, for me, I love Toncoin. Very strong. Of course, it's dealing with the whole Telegram. So with just that being with Telegram, I think it's going to be a major contender. It's already in the top 10, and it's going to do very well this bull run.
Yes, I agree. Cardano down. I mean, it's calling it even right now in the 7 days, but down almost 3% in the last 24 hours. I mean, back under 40 cents. And, again, I'm okay with that. To me, it's an accumulation thing if you're into buying Cardano and staking it or whatever. So
for me, I don't like Cardano just because I had it last bull run and it did nothing for like, I don't know, 5 months. Then when I finally sold it, it went up a little bit.
Yep.
But I mean, even now, like there's a lot of stuff being built on it, the hard forks and everything else like that. So, might be a good one to have a bag of. I don't
Yep.
though.
No, I think it is. Again, it's one of my long-term hodls. I got it
Right.
staking, just I honestly, it's in there and I forgot about it. It's
Right.
one of those, you know what I mean? But I get it. Some people are not fans. Tron, I like touching on Tron. I know a lot of people don't like Justin Sun and don't like the Tron blockchain. I like touching on it just because I know it has a worldwide use case for people trying to get USDT on Tron. So, and I will tell you, I actually moved some USDT on Tron the other day, and
fast,
like that, and
cheap.
like cheap.
Yes.
What else can you ask for?
Right.
So, AVAX looking pretty good, 25.53, down a little over 5%. Personally, I think great buy price for AVAX regardless, but I'm an AVAX fan, so Sheeb, I don't know. Again, I'm not a meme coin guy, but Sheeb down 3.5% in the last 24 hours. BCH, I'm a fan in the sense that use it for what it's meant to be used for. Buy shit, save your Bitcoin. Up almost 19% in the last 7 days. It was down to like 350 at one point, I think, or somewhere in that ballpark, and now it's back up over $400. Link, another one, up 1.3 over the 7 days, but $12.99. I'm sorry. That, in my opinion, great buy price for Link.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's a steal right now. Again, not financial advice, but I would definitely recommend Link. Link is, of course, I call it the Bitcoin of oracles. Not only that, but it's dealing with security whenever you're bridging coins, from one to another. Like they're doing really great things. So, in my opinion, under $15, really, heck, under $20, any price you can get it at. I'd say I recommend Link by a lot.
Yeah, I always say under $20, but at this, that please, it's about half off at this point.
Yep.
And this is another one of my. It's not like I got huge bags of it. I'm not gonna lie, but like this is one of those long-term hodls for me. Is Chainlink. All right, let's keep going here. I'm taking longer in this than I kind of wanted to. Uniswap looking pretty good right now, even though it's down 3%, 717. LTC, another one. I like it for what it's meant to be used for. I use it to pay every month for my VPN service. Nice and easy. Goes quick. It's can't complain. $70.13, up about 3.5% in the last week. Look at Caspa. I mean, Caspa's been on fire. Up over 20 cents, 17.2%. What say you on that, my friend?
Yeah, it's going crazy. It's going very, very crazy. Everybody right now is jumping on. I'm hoping more people get on because we got into that trade just because it broke the all-time high, and we're hoping for FOMO to kick in. So, but we're playing it safe though. We're playing it safe.
Yeah, no, it's good. Hey, Dave P in the house. Welcome, sir. Good morning. Appreciate you being here. All right, where were we? Let's keep going here. We're halfway through where I wanted to be. Polygon, Matic. another one I think is a great price. This is another long-term hodl for me. Half off. I always tell everybody under $1, good deal. And here we are, half off at this point. Pepe, if you're into the meme coin thing, look at this, down basically 8.5% over the week. I think this is going to go well in this cycle. I don't know. Do you think so? Am I off base here?
For ICP?
No. Pepe.
Oh yeah, Pepe. Pepe, I think it will. I think it will. Just because for that one, I see people seeing Pepe as the Bitcoin of memes. I mean, even though there's Sheeb and everyone else, but everybody loves Pepe. So,
yep, and that's why I think it's going to do well. I mean, even if you're not a meme coin person, which I'm not, right. I admit it openly. But I think it might be a good idea. Even just a small bag. I don't know.
Right.
And not financial advice. Not a financial advisor. Old guy interwebs. All right, ICP. I'm not an. I don't know. I don't know. ICP. I got mixed feelings with ICP. Down 6.5%. I mean, do you got anything you want to say about ICP before I move on?
Not really.
Okay, good. Stellar, another one. I mean, I'm surprised. All I'm going to say with Stellar is I'm surprised it's down this low. That's all I'm going to say. Honestly, I have a small bag of Stellar. It's a long-term hodl for me in the idea of full disclosure.
Right.
Monero. Now, I'll tell you what. I like Monero. I'm bullish on Monero. I love privacy coins. I think they're going to be huge. I say it all the time, especially next year. 156.21. So it's kicking ass, taking names. Basically without any centralized exchanges. This is all DeFi stuff going on with regard to Monero right here. Anything else you want to put in about that? I don't know. I'm a fan of Monero.
Yeah, I like Monero.
Yeah.
Privacy.
Yeah. Privacy coins. Filecoin, I'm kind of bullish on Filecoin. Up 2.3%, $4.24. Honestly, I don't think that's a bad price for Filecoin. I think it's got a big future, personally, my opinion.
Right.
Scroll down, try and get through the rest of this. H-bar. I can't believe H-bar is down this low. I just can't. This is back down to almost where I started buying it. I don't know, last year at some point. Right. Down over 6% in the last 24 hours, 2.5% on the week. Are you a fan of H-bar?
Not really.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it is more centralized than the other ones, which is the only major drawback that I have with regard to H-bar, but it is shooting to be more enterprise level blockchain, which that makes sense that it would be a bit more centralized for enterprise type of operations, my opinion. Render. Render is one of those items that you can vote for us to dollar cost average into every Friday night. So tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Joe's going to be there. So am I. Who knows? I think Bedell is going to be there. He's going to be talking about his trip down to Nashville. Hopefully 100 Air will be joining us, and who knows who else. So you can vote if we're going to dollar cost average this week into Render. Right now, Render's won just about every week. So make sure you're there tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Render looking pretty damn good. Let's see. Let's get down a couple more here. VeChain, I like VeChain. I don't know. I just like its overall direction.
Right, use case, yeah.
Yeah. And then, all right, you know what? We're going to end with WIF. Why not? Again, if you're into the meme coin thing, look at this. Down 17.5% basically. $2. I mean, again, if you're into the meme coin thing, that's a decent buy for WIF.
Yep.
My otherwise humble opinion. And we know how humble I am. I'm sorry. All right. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the debt crisis here, basically, in the U.S. We're going to be talking, we're going to look through some videos with people. Lena Petrova, you guys know I love her. Links to all of her information are in the description of this live stream. This lady makes these complex issues easy to understand and, just breaks it all down and isn't afraid to call it what it is. Then also we're going to be tapping into an interview from Kitco News. So again, link to them in the description and everything I'm showing you in the description. And with George Gammon, again, great macro economic analyst. Well, I'll let them speak for themselves. But I mean, right now, here we go. We just broke $35 trillion on the debt clock. This is fucking insane. I'm sorry, it just is. Feel free to jump in, Joe, and give your 2 cents, because I think everybody here that listens to me rail about this all the time knows my thought about this.
Yeah. Whenever I see this, whenever I think about it, like literally, I get stressed out.
Yes.
It's more anger, I guess, because the only reason we're in debt, it's not us, it's not the people who's doing this, it's the government.
Yes.
And the government is doing this to us. And like it comes down to just the government can print money out of thin air, create this debt, help all these other countries, not help our veterans, not help our women's battered shelters or anything like that, our kids that are being, abused and everything. But instead, they're helping all these other countries.
Yes.
And forcing us to get into the country further into debt. And then when it comes to like taxes, they don't make sense. Like the more and more that I get into crypto, the more that I see what the government is. So we like if the government can just print money out of thin air, just whatever.
Oh,
and
crap.
then
Sorry about that.
You have taxes. What are the taxes going for? Because they can just print it. Oh, we need $5 trillion. Well, let me just print it. Here you go. Or let me take from everybody to get 200 million, and then the rest, it doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right. And look at what's going on. We're accumulating $1 trillion of new debt every 100 days or so because of what? Because of the compounding interest on the debt.
Right. And it was funny too. This was a few months ago where they were talking about creating a coin, like making a titanium coin or whatever. And
I did a live stream about that. Yes.
Yeah, so they could pay the debt off. It's like, why do you need to print money to buy a coin to pay the debt off? Why don't you just pay the debt off? Because you're making the money, making it up anyway. Just we have a balance. Okay, now we don't. Next.
I get it. It's
the
a
whole
big
thought
circular.
And the whole thought process when it comes to money is only like if I wanted to, like I could sell this to you for $100. It's if you value this for $100, well then you're gonna buy it for $100. But if you don't, well, there's nothing. Same thing with paper money. Like because somebody else has understands the value of it or at least interprets the same value, then it's worth that amount. But if it wasn't, I mean, we could trade rocks or branches or whatever. It's whatever the other person holds value to. And to me, it just gets me more upset. Like the more I look into it, it's like it's all made up. And then here we are, we can't buy food, we can't do this because we have little bit of the money that they're printing. And then what we do buy, we have to pay taxes on. And at the end of the year, if you make a lot of money, you got to give them more. Like with crypto, making all these gains, now you have to give them, 40% or whatever it is. For what? What did they do? They did nothing. But they want to keep you down. They want to put that thumb on you. So yeah. Where's my blood pressure medicine? Alfred, give my blood pressure. My butler.
Hey, yes, 100 Air. That interview was great. I appreciate you saying that. And I don't know if you saw what he just said there. He likes your background. I agree. It looks good.
Sweet.
All right, let me see if I can bring up this first video here, and we'll kick things off right now. Okay, it's one of these. Let's see if it's this one. Oh, nope, definitely not that one. Hang on. Nope, wrong one. Hang on. Unfortunately, they're all labeled the same, so it's tough to see which is which. There we go. That's the right one. All right. So this first one, basically, she gives you the outline of what Joe and I just did, but I still want you to hear it from somebody else. And again, if you're not following her, links in the description. Go do this, and links to this entire video in the description. It's a couple of minutes long, but I think it's worth the listen. So here we go.
I wanted to upload a quick video because we, the United States, just hit another new record, unfortunately in a bad sense of the word. The United States surpassed a historic fiscal milestone of $35 trillion in national debt. That is roughly $104,000 for every individual and $266,000 for every US household.
Now, I want to just stop this for 1 second. Look at the number, 35004. This was like 3 days ago, this video. We just looked at the clock live. It's 35011. In what was that? I'll even give him 4 days. 4 days. That's insane. That's insane. Anyway, sorry.
The debt as a percentage of the GDP is now above 122%. Somehow, Washington accumulated another $1 trillion in debt in less than 7 months. We know exactly how that was done, of course. Over the past 12 months, the national debt has surged by nearly $2.3 trillion, which is an average of about $6.4 billion every single day. Also, every single day we spend $2.4 billion on interest expense.
That's what I was just talking about. That's a crazy amount to be spending on interest, right? That's insanity. Insanity. Anyway, sorry. She's got another, 30 seconds here, and then we'll cut it.
The money that doesn't go to free school lunches for children or a desperately needed infrastructure project. Since most of the US infrastructure is now on average 30 years old, it's definitely nearing its useful life, and it will need to be replaced sooner rather than later. Hopefully, fingers crossed. However, that may not happen, of course, since every single dollar that goes to pay interest on the rising debt means less financial resources that are available to cover truly necessary projects. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, for one, if you live in the United States, just think about whether this astronomical surge in national debt benefited you or anyone you know in any way.
Nope.
And if you can think of anything to show for it, there isn't anything. However, you will be stuck footing that bill. But not only you, several future generations of Americans will have the burden as the quality of life deteriorates as the result of the government spending everything that it collects into.
Okay, I just got to stop at that point. It's close to where I want to stop anyway.
Yeah, but that's so true though. Like everything, like all this debt, like am I benefiting from it? Do I see a quality of, are they purifying the air and, making the houses stronger and, tornado resistant? No, it's the same thing day by day, but yet we're getting punished every single day.
And so, yeah. The very end piece is why I just had to stop, because I think about this all the time, which is why I do what I do with crypto. And like, I'm not going to benefit anything in this bull cycle. I'm really not, right. But my grandkids will, because I take it, I put it aside, and it's for them, because right. They're the ones who are going to have to deal with this.
Right.
They're the ones who are going to have to deal with what we're doing right now.
Right. And then more than likely by the time they're of age, hopefully, there's more adoption, more maybe shops are accepting crypto. So now they can buy groceries with crypto and, events and everything with crypto. So instead of trying to transfer it to fiat, then getting, the gas fees for that. And then now you have to report it to everybody else. Now, one thing I am surprised.
Yeah.
Where with Trump, like he's all for crypto. And normally, because crypto, in my opinion, is for freedom, and the government wants to hold you down. So with the government, or Trump saying that have your own keys and whatever he said, but pretty much your own, like, this is for you, like,
Yeah.
we're not going to mess with you or nothing like that. For to hear that from somebody who's running for office, to me that's just amazing, because you would think that they would want to keep you under their thumb, that they
Oh
would
yeah.
want to oh well, you have to do the taxes and you have to do all. But with crypto, literally it's freedom. like I'm just really surprised that not only him but other people in government are talking about crypto, and how all these countries are doing the crypto as well. So like
Yes.
we're still so early, but it's getting better. It's not like how it used to be. It's like, oh, it's only used for bad stuff. And to me, man, all those things, all those stories, they say, oh well,
So's the U.S.
Bitcoin is
dollar.
only used for bad stuff. What do you think all these people are doing with money? If there's a will, there's a way.
Yes. Agreed. All right, I'm going to put up the next clip, and it's meant to be a reminder, because most people forgot about this already. I've done an entire live stream. Matter of fact, link to all of those live streams that I've done talking about this stuff already in the description, where she's talking about the debt ceiling here in the United States. So let's let her give us the friendly reminder.
One of the things to keep in mind is that the United States Congress voted to suspend the debt ceiling until 2025. They didn't want to deal with it before the elections, of course.
Exactly.
So this is something that the new administration will have to handle next year. Chances are the ceiling will be raised once again, especially if the
I think
somewhere
it
in
froze.
the
Oh,
Middle
there it
East,
is.
let's say, since our uniparty is desperate to fight yet another war that it doesn't need to, and this time with Iran. When the federal
I do want to point out she's 1,000% right there. It is a
Yeah.
uniparty. I don't care how you slice it, how you dice it. They all spend the money. They all give money to Ukraine. They all give money to wherever. I'm sorry. They just do.
Right.
Sorry. I cut her off a little early.
federal government spends more than it takes in, or in other words, more than it collects, we have to borrow money to cover that annual gap, to cover that deficit. And each year's deficit adds to our growing national debt. The largest deficits in the United States history were caused by increased spending that was a result of wars, the pandemic, of course, as well as the Great Depression. According to Peter Peterson Foundation, they have really great visuals. The main three drivers of the US government budget deficits that in turn increase borrowing are America's aging population. 10,000 people will turn 65 every single day through 2030.
That's crazy.
Meaning, such essential programs as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid will not be able to fund that number of eligible individuals. The second factor are rising healthcare costs. Even though those of us who live in the United States spend over twice as much on healthcare as other advanced nations, our system does not really provide better overall health outcomes. We know that very well. The third reason is a lack of government revenue, or in other words, the government doesn't get enough of your tax dollars to support its ambitious spending habits.
I think that sums it up right there perfectly.
Yep. I think it's funny because, and I have to be careful with what I say, because of course, we can get, fewer viewers. So I think it's very funny that we're overpopulated. The world itself is just overpopulated. Not only that, but because due to the overpopulation, we have a bunch of elderly people. Because of that, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, all this, health care for the elderly is very taxing for the government,
Yes.
because they have to put out
Yes.
a lot of money, and they're already in debt big time. Now, what would happen hypothetically if there was a virus that would take out mainly the elderly? What kind of problems would that solve for the government? Just think about that. Think about that.
Yeah, I think we already lived through the test of that to some degree. Again, my opinion, you don't like it, don't let the stream hit you in the ass on the way out, is what it is.
And for me, I was very lucky because, of course, I'm a registered nurse, and at this time, I wasn't working. I had enough money saved or whatever. I wasn't working. I was just home kicking back, and I would see it on the news all the time where like these nurses, they were being literally forced to take the injection. They were if they didn't, they couldn't work, and they were like, no, I don't want to do this. Like it's not right. But if they didn't, then of course they got fired. And I was really lucky when I did work. I only worked for like a month and a half, and man, they were paying us dumb money. But I only worked for like a month and a half during that time, and they didn't ask for shots. They were just desperate. They're like, can you work? You have a license? Okay, come on in. All right, cool. Yeah, but I was really lucky. I didn't take any of those shots. Now I was doing Uber and Lyft, from time to time, just get out of the house, get my mind clear. And everybody would tell me, it's like, yeah, this is my third booster. Did you do any? It's like, nah. Like if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go. Like it is what it is. Like because I knew what it was. I did a lot of research when it first came out. I did a lot of research, and I knew that it wasn't airborne, but it was the droplet. But it was a little bit larger than airborne as far as the particles. I said, there's no way you can do it unless you're wearing a very specialized mask and you have it fitted in the whole nine. Exactly. And not only that, but you could be safe wash your hands. You could do everything like super, super like tedious. And then all of a sudden somebody coughs a block down. One person coughs a block down and the wind pushes it and you happen to now what? All that time and effort for what? So
agreed. And yes, 100 air, exactly. That's exactly. All right, let's we're going to get into the George Gammon interview, the Kitco News interview with George Gammon. The first piece, if I can find the correct one straight off here, is him talking about the yield curve, which we've already seen about the inverted yield curve. It's been going since 2022, I think, and GDP growth. So let me see if I can't find that, and we'll start there. I think this is the right one. I got it right. All right, here we go.
So, George, you point out that the world's most powerful economic indicator, the yield curve, has been inverted for more than 2 years now, and now we're starting to see signs of it uninverting, and that this is very significant because that is actually when the economic trouble begins. But before we get into the specifics there and breaking down the yield curve and what it means, let's start off with a broader overview of your macro outlook right now, especially with reference to this new data that seems to suggest that the economy is growing and inflation is starting to come under control. What's your read on this?
I think it all ties in together. Because if you think about why the curve inverts, it starts with the banking system and the financial institutions, not only in the United States, but outside of the United States. Because banks have balance sheet capacity, which they could allocate in several different ways. Number one, they could lend into the real economy to entrepreneurs and businesses who are trying to create more goods and services. Or they could go ahead and buy the 10-year treasury. Let's say just the risk-free asset with safety and liquidity being a premium. So what happens when you go into a cycle like we're in right now that we've seen over and over and over and over again, going all the way back to the 1950s, is the banks and the entities in the financial economy start to take risk off the table because they look around and they say, okay, there's no good opportunities out there to lend when you look at the risk versus reward. It's not just the reward, you have to include the risk. So what they do with all that balance sheet capacity is they start buying the long end of the yield curve because that's their best bet. And that, along with the Fed increasing interest rates, is usually when you get the inversion, which is just a fancy way of...
I just want to point out, as we're listening to this, that yesterday Powell came out and said no cut in rates. So we're still at 5.25. And the Bank of England literally hours later cut their rate by 0.25. because these people can't handle the inflation that we're pushing off of us onto the rest of the world. They just can't. Anyway, sorry. He's got about another, I think, 30 seconds here, and then I'm going to cut this and we'll go to the next one.
Saying short-term interest rates are higher than long-term interest rates.
That's the
so
inversion.
it's all just the market telling you that there's a lot of risk out there that a lot of times the stock market, quite frankly, isn't pricing in. And whenever you get I mean, you talked about 2.8% GDP growth. Okay, well, let's put things into perspective. It's not that like that's awesome year over year. I mean, it's higher than expectations, but expectations were incredibly low.
All right, and I mean, come on. They tout all this, and we already know they cook the numbers.
Right.
They cook the numbers to make it like, and cherry pick it to make it look whatever way they want it to look. It ain't like they're giving us the straight truth. You got to sift through it yourself and find it.
Right.
Again, my humble opinion. My humble opinion. All right. The next section I want to highlight is why he points out banks are not lending, or at least not in the same capacity that they used to be. And the reason for this is because we already know, I did an entire live stream, that 63 banks are already on the verge of collapse at this point because they are out over their skis with debt.
Yep.
But anyway, let's hear it from him here. Let me see if I can't pull the right one up again. See if I can go 2 for 2. Woohoo! 2 for 2, baby. Here we go.
Well, again, let's go back to the banks and look at what the banks are doing, because, and I go back to the banks because they're the ones that have the most intel, right? They're the ones that are dealing with the entrepreneurs. They're the ones that are dealing with the multinational corporations. They're the ones that are dealing with commercial real estate. They're the ones that are dealing with the consumer. And most importantly, they're the ones that are dealing with other banks. And as you know, Michelle, most of the dollars in the world are created by lending them into existence.
Yes.
Meaning the banks create the majority of the dollars. It's not the Federal Reserve or the Treasury or the government or anything like this. It's the banking system lending them into existence. So just look at the monetary aggregates. I mean, since 2022, M1 money supply and M2 money supply in the United States is down. And to give your viewers some context, the last time that happened with M2 money supply, we were in the Great Depression, not the Great Recession, the Great Depression of the 1930s.
And I think that's a good point to point out, because they've what have they done? They have literally changed the definition of a recession on the fly to say, oh, we're not in a recession yet.
Yeah.
Come on. By any
But not
metric,
only did they change the numbers, but they changed the definition.
Thank you. Exactly. They keep changing the goalposts. They keep changing whatever they need to change in order to fit their narrative. And I know I'm talking about many other things here, but I mean, them's the facts. That's the bottom line. Anyway, sorry. He's got another couple of minutes here I want you to hear.
So if we have this booming economy, why aren't the banks lending? Just ask yourself that. Do they not want profit? Are they somehow not greedy? Of course not. The reason they're not lending is because the risk reward doesn't make sense, because when they look out at the real economy, they see storm clouds. They don't see a booming economy. They see a lot of problems. They see massive counterparty risk. I mean, let's not forget that we're just in the middle innings of a banking crisis.
Amen.
We go back to 2023 with Signature, First Republic, and you know, to your earlier point, Credit Suisse. We were talking about that before we started recording, how all these banks basically went bust in March of 2023. They came out with the Bank Term Funding Program, the BTFP. The Fed had to come in and quote unquote save the day, but all they do is just really kick the can down the road. And since that time, for whatever reason, the mainstream media thinks that, oh, we dodged a bullet. You know, we have averted the crisis. Well, no, you didn't, because every single month we hear in the news that another bank goes bust, another bank.
And that's true. I mean, think about what we've heard since then. It's crazy. And even the FDIC coming out saying, listen, we got a bunch of them that are this close.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And they're putting, the banks are trying to pad their bottom lines as we speak, because they know that they're going to have to take these currently unrealized losses soon, because people are just defaulting on stuff, commercial real estate, car loans, you name it. And honestly,
Right.
I don't want to steal the thunder, but that's one of the other pieces he's going to talk about in the next clip. So I'm going to let him just wrap this up, and then we'll kind of move on. Unless you got something to say, like I said, Joe, I can just talk. You feel free, jump in here, but
No, I'm good. I'm good.
all right. Come on, mouse, start working. There we go.
Goes bust. And not just in the United States. You say, well, George, it's just the mid-sized banks with commercial real estate. Okay, well, that matters.
Yes, it does.
Believe it or not, that actually matters, and that impacts the big, huge banks, not only domestically in the United States, but maybe to the same degree
I think
in
it froze.
the dollar system. Why? Because it increases counterparty risk.
Right.
And if you increase counterparty risk, you decrease dollar liquidity, because the banks are the ones that provide that dollar liquidity to begin with. But then we fast forward more.
I just want to point out, and then what do they do to correct the problem? They make these big banks suck up these small banks, which then just destabilizes these big banks even further.
Right. I think you froze.
Yeah,
There
I
you go.
froze up there for a second. But anyway, all I was saying was they make the big banks suck up the little banks, which just further destabilizes the big bank situation. Anyway,
Right.
I'm going to let him keep going here. Sorry about that, guys.
More recently, and we look at Norinchukin Bank. Another thing that we discussed earlier, this is this big Japanese bank that had to take a $10 billion loss, billion with a B, because their dollar funding costs went up, because you guys know that the way banks make money is they borrow short term and they lend long term.
All right. You get the point. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he froze again.
yeah,
it's crazy.
I see. I get a little alert when I froze there. Sorry, guys. I don't understand. Don't even get me going about my internet provider. But anyway, yeah, it just drives me nuts to listen to this. All right, let me bring up the next one, and this is where he's going to talk about banks' unrealized losses. In the meantime, Joe, feel free, whatever you need or want to say while I pull this sucker up.
No, I agree with everything that they're saying. I mean, the more I get into crypto, the more I see it.
I agree. All right, let's let him talk about unrealized losses.
Talk a little bit about unrealized losses at the banks, because that's also pretty significant. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And according to the data that we've got, unrealized losses across the U.S. rose to $517 billion at the end of the first quarter of
That's
2024.
Yeah, it was at 700. It was at 700. And just to give your audience some context, let's go back to the GFC. And Michelle, you're one of the best interviewers, because you do a lot of homework.
Thank you.
It's really obvious. So I want to commend you on that first and foremost. But if you go back to the GFC, what do you think the unrealized losses were back then? I can tell you right off the top of my head, right around 75 billion at the height of the GFC.
75 billion.
Yeah. That's right. Now 700, 10 times. Basically 10 times the unrealized losses. So the only rebuttal there is, oh, well, George, those are mostly treasuries or mortgage-backed securities or whatever. They can hold to maturity. They're not marked to market, so it doesn't really impact their balance sheet. Oh, really? Well, tell that to Silicon Valley Bank. Tell that to Signature. Tell that to Norinchukin. The whole reason they're getting into problems, not the whole reason, but it's because they have to sell those assets which were hold to maturity. So they have to realize the unrealized losses. Right. And that goes back down to credit risk. So if you want to talk to me about credit risk, great. Let's look at commercial real estate. Let's look at the junk debt. Let's look at how tight the corporate bond spreads are. Most people think that's a result of the market saying, oh, well, we don't see any risk out there. I beg to differ. I think it could be a result of all these foreign banks having to sell their safe and liquid assets.
Yep. Oh, froze again.
And the only underlying asset give them that return is junk debt and so forth. And so then it compresses the actual spread. But no, you look at the unrealized losses, which was a fantastic point. It's actually something I had written down. You look at the credit risk out there with these banks just not being paid back. But it's not just a commercial real estate. It's auto loans. Look at the delinquency rate there. Look at the delinquency rate on credit card loans.
Yes.
Do you think that these delinquency rates would be skyrocketing if we were in a booming economy?
Exactly.
In fact, I read a report the other day, Michelle, from CNN. So this is not Zero Hedge or something like that. From CNN, stating that 39% of people they polled said that they worry about having the ability just to pay their basic expenses.
Yeah.
And to give you some context.
All right. Well, he goes on a little bit, but I think that's telling.
Right.
It's a huge number of people that are literally wondering how they're going to live to tomorrow.
Right. See, but not only that, but people are also living like they lived a few years ago. You know, oh, let's go out to eat, a couple times a week. Let's go on vacation because, their wife saw the other person's wife taking pictures in Aspen or on the beach or wherever. And of course, everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. So now, this wife or whoever is like, oh, well, let's go on vacation too. Like, I want to take pictures too, to show everybody their lavish lifestyle when they're not living that lavish lifestyle. They're literally living paycheck to paycheck, and then they'll get another credit card to pay off the minimums on their other credit cards, and maybe their rent or their mortgage or whatever, or the car payment. And it just further and further and further into that, because they want to continue living the way others perceive them. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 1,000%. And I got to say this, some of those conversations about vacations and stuff, like I've talked to people like, I'm doing it now because I don't know if I can do it next year.
Right.
I get it, but I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
All
For
right,
me, if you have it,
yeah,
if you have it, do it. If you don't have it and like you're kind of struggling, it's like, man, I don't know if I can pay my rent or my mortgage this month, but hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna have some fun. No, wait, what's the thought process? No, like you have to take care of your bills, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. I'm gonna bring up this last piece, and then I want to talk about, okay, so what do we do from here, kind of thing. He's talking about, how they are always saying, oh, we're gonna have a soft landing, da 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 da. Yeah. Well, he's gonna talk about the hard landing that's coming. Hang on, here we go.
I was talking about timing, when you anticipate this hard landing to really hit. And as I said, the New York Fed puts a 56% chance of it hitting by June of 2025.
Great point. So this is where I would look at narrative. And I think narrative is something that all of your viewers should really pay attention to.
Especially in an election year.
I'm sorry?
Especially in an election year.
But it goes beyond that.
Well, that's right. That's right. But more so, what I look at is the narrative that I see within the marketplace. And let me be more specific. When we go through these cycles, let's say 2013, 2014, we get to a point, and we'll just use the S&P 500 as a proxy for this, where good news is actually good news. So we see the unemployment rate start to go down. We see the economy starting to improve. We see home prices flattening out. And therefore, hey, this is great. Let's go ahead and take risk and buy some of the S&P 500. And then it goes up and up and up and up, and to the point where the good news starts turning into bad news. But the market, being always having this tendency toward being bullish, they say, oh, well, this bad news isn't really bad news because it means the Fed's going to drop interest rates. And we know that if the Fed drops interest rates, that's great for stocks, completely ignoring a possibility of recession, right? But this is how the narrative changes. And so we go from good news being good news to bad news being good news. But we get to a point, Michelle, where bad news becomes bad news. And I think that there's a high likelihood that we hit that turning point, that paradigm shift, just the other day when we got the soft CPI report.
Yep.
So this would have been I've been moving, so I've been out of the loop. You'll have to forgive me. I think it was a couple Fridays ago where we had a soft CPI report. So you would have expected, that's kind of bad news, but that means the Fed's going to drop rates a lot faster, at least the market perception.
Which
and
we know now
therefore
they
you would
didn't.
expect stocks to rip higher, especially the NASDAQ, especially those growth stocks like the Mag 7 or whatever they're called. But instead, we saw the exact opposite. Now, initially, I thought, okay, let's not jump to any conclusions. This could just be profit taking because these stocks are so up, and it could just be some sort of rotation into the Russell 2000 or something like that. But if you look at what has happened since then, the NASDAQ especially has continued to drop off a cliff, and it doesn't really matter what type of news we get, the NASDAQ still goes down.
Yeah.
So I think just that rotation of the Russell was probably temporary, just because people were like, okay, we've squeezed out all the blood out of this turnip that we possibly can.
That about sums it up well right there. We squeezed everything we can out of that thing. I was gonna, if you go again, links to everything in the description, and he goes into like his investment portfolio, what he's doing, both stocks. One of the things he hits on is gold. That's like a central to his portfolio, and then he talks about Bitcoin. And I guess I kind of would like to end this stream, because we're already over 50 minutes into the stream here at this point, with maybe.
Oh, you froze again. You're still frozen. There we go.
It's damn freezing shit. Basically, what's the damn me and you do to go forward? Go ahead. You can jump first.
I don't think there's anything we can do. Because it's different when you're trying to clean up a mess that is on the countertop versus something that is taking your whole front yard.
Yeah.
So it's completely different. Like you can't do anything. And the only thing you can do is, in my opinion, have one of those coins and pay off the debt and create another one. So now we're in surplus, and then give everybody money so that, but it doesn't even make any sense, but in my opinion, nothing we can do. Even if, they took off our taxes, even if they do, we're so far in trouble that the only thing we can do is patch up the Band-Aid, and then patch up with another Band-Aid, and patch up with the other Band-Aid, and just let time go, I guess.
And I don't disagree in the big scheme of things, but I'm trying to bring it back down to like a me thing, because what do I do to protect my family? What do I, you know what I'm saying? How do I lessen the pain, I guess? Again, feel free to jump in, but I'm a big advocate for crypto, because I think there is the means there outside of their system.
Right.
When all the shit hits the fan, we're going to need to be out of it.
That truly is the only solution, because again, this problem, it's so big, and the government has allowed it to get so huge that really all you can do is put Band-Aid on Band-Aid upon Band-Aid. But crypto is the answer, because crypto is the freedom. Crypto is to where it's not all this stuff that the government's doing, as far as everything that they're doing. Here it's freedom now. But the only problem is you need to have so if I have crypto and you have a product, to accept the crypto for the product. So that's the only thing that needs to happen is, there's an exchange. But other than that, because you can have all the crypto in the world, but if nobody's willing to sell you anything for the exchange, well, you just have all the crypto. There has to be that exchange. But I do see it coming to that point to where there will be more acceptance to it, and of course, crypto is literally the future of, in my opinion, the money system.
Exactly. And you're right about that more easy peer-to-peer exchange. I don't disagree. People need to start accepting crypto as payment for products and services. I agree. But again, you can still do it today. You just got a couple of extra hoops to go through.
Right.
You know what I mean? A couple extra hoops. What do you think about gold? Because in his, if anybody goes back and watches the end of that, the first thing he talks about is gold. What do you think about that?
Like physical gold or
Yes,
have gold?
physical gold. Yes, physical gold.
In my opinion, I would rather have silver, or more silver than gold. And the only reason is, you're going to have a whole bunch of like little chunks of gold to buy anything. Like, and I'm thinking of it like end world type situation to where,
Yes,
like, I'm trying to buy food or whatever. Like, you're going to have like little like scrapes of gold when you can just have, a silver coin or whatever.
right.
Now, if you're trying to buy something larger, like a house or anything, then yeah, you need a bigger chunk of gold. But in my opinion, I would think that I would do more silver than gold.
That's a good opinion. I think I don't disagree with you. I don't. Silver will be more of the bartering thing, kind of like I say Litecoin to Bitcoin kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, gold. I think there's no harm in having some. It
Right.
just isn't. And again, for those who are interested, I got an entire playlist. I got the link in the description where it talks about investing in gold and other precious metals. Matter of fact, if you're looking to do that, Acre Gold, link in the description, $50 a month.
Now I do have a thing as well.
Please go.
If because now I'm thinking about it like, man, if I had a whole bunch of money, I don't want to have all these, silver coins that are like, 150 pounds. I can just have a coin, a gold coin. And so, there's two ways of thinking about it. But
Yep.
yeah, no, I saw that you do that, $50 a month. And then once it accumulates so much, then they send you the coin. And
Yep.
I need to do that, man. I've been wanting to buy gold for a long time. Same thing with silver too. I've been wanting to do that forever. So that sounds like a pretty good plan. You just put money
I mean,
in.
it's easy for the average person who doesn't
Right.
have, however many hundreds, thousands of dollars, whatever gold's
Right.
at this point. I haven't looked to go in and invest straight up. You can literally dollar cost average like you do a crypto.
Right.
Hey, that's what I've got for today, man. I keep putting this out because I think people need to hear it. Not enough people, and that's why I just put this up on the screen. Obviously, make sure you're smashing the like button. I can see I've got a bunch of people on Facebook today. Thank you for being here on Facebook.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah, make sure thumbs up. I appreciate that. And, share this because people just need to hear it. They just need to hear it.
And stuff like this, it gets suppressed by the entities that be. It really does. You might say, oh no, well, you just don't get views. No, like the topics that we talk about, they're not popular topics and they are suppressed. So we can only do it with your help. We can only do it with your help.
And I can confirm that. Dave, you're welcome. Appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Listen, I can confirm with analytics just on YouTube. I mean, they are suppressing certain things. I've literally lost over 100 hours of view time in a 28-day span over the last couple of months. That's insane. Because I do talk about unpopular topics, and I'm not afraid to tell you my opinion about those unpopular topics.
Right.
So, what do you got going on your channel, Joe? We'll wrap it up with what we each got going on, and we'll get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So every day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come check me out. My name is Trade Intuition, not Trade Institution. Everybody says Trade Institution. No, Trade Intuition. Trade Intuition every day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we go over charts. We go over Bitcoin. We go over just the market in general. And then, of course, if you have any coins you want me to do, I go over those as well. I give you targets, stop loss. I tell you when, is a better time to enter by setting alerts. It's more so a free hour of mentorship. And that's what I do. Granted, none of it is financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes. You got to say that. Entertainment purposes.
And while you were doing that, I was fixing, I had, matter of fact, talk to everybody about trading wars. That was the original thing I had on here. And that's why it took me a second to put this up here. But here it is. Watch every day, 3 p.m. Talk about it.
Yeah, so Trading Wars is actually today. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Trading Wars. And there I did, unfortunately, I did lose the last time around. And I did enter, and no excuses, but I did enter some trades that went the other way. However, my internet, for whatever reason, and this has never happened before, maybe it was meant to be. I don't know. But it wouldn't update. So I would enter, and it wouldn't show that I was in the trade. So I would enter some more, and it wouldn't show. So I'd enter some more, and then I refresh the page, and it shows I entered 3 times. Like, oh, crap, I'm in a whole bunch. And now I'm seeing it coming down. And so it wasn't refreshing for me. Again, not an excuse. It's the reason, man.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I lost, but it was for a reason, because like I asked everybody, like, is this happening to anybody? They're like, no. This was before the show too. They're like, no. So all right, well, let me get to a different browser. But hey, I lost, but I'm gonna check him out though. It's a great show. It puts you in a very hard, very difficult situation, because you have to trade using leverage, and you have to you can't lose, because if you lose, the worst one gets put into combat pretty much with Crypto Face. So it's pretty good. They got a lot of great people on there, and like I said, I'll be there in the comments. So that's Trading Wars at 1 p.m. today.
Yeah, and it's a great show, and I mean, don't ever trade like they trade. That's all I'm gonna say. Like that. That's not trading.
No.
This is a competition to the max.
Right.
So don't do what they do.
Right.
Watch, have fun, but don't do it. But what you should do is this right here. Make sure you're watching this guy 3 p.m. every single day. Like I said, I don't know how you do it. I just don't. You're insane.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, but get it done. I know people need to make money and learn how to trade. For my biggest thing is I really hate it. It gets me upset where these people who know how to trade, they're millionaires already, if not multi-millionaires, and they won't give their secrets because, well, they want more memberships. And it's like, how much money do you need? Like, literally, how much money do you need? So, like, for me, what I do is I give you everything. I don't, I can't talk about that. That's in the VIP. No. And that's why I say it's a free hour of mentorship. So if you have questions about indicators, about trading styles, whether it's short-term, long-term, scalp trading, just anything, that's when you ask, and I let you know. So,
yep. Hey, and one other thing, Joe and I, every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, I've foregone what would be my normal live stream to do a Crypto Market Mondays. So we talk, more macro stuff initially to kind of prep you for what Joe then does, because he's the star of the show as far as I'm concerned, where he looks at Bitcoin, gives you
look at Bitcoin, honestly, look at the other cards
in other markets.
Right.
And honestly in other markets. So join us 10 a.m. on Mondays as well. Okay. Anything else you want to tell everybody, Joe?
No, just hope everybody does well. Of course, it's very important to understand the market right now is very topsy-turvy, so please do not feel that you have to be in a trade. You don't. If you're losing, just stop. Go to websites, do some more research, go watch videos, go outside, do something, get away from the charts. It's better to not lose a trade or get into a situation where it doesn't look too good than to force yourself to be. No, just take it easy. Take the day off. Take a couple of days off. You should never need to, make this money. This should be fun money. So,
amen. Listen, join us tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Crypto on the Rocks, right on this channel. And then afterward, for After Hours Crypto, exclusively on Patreon, because I've got some stuff I want to talk about, some stuff this week, and I think YouTube will definitely give me some shit if I I'm just saying. Anyway, all right, that's it, guys. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you for being in the chat. We're out. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Crypto on the Rocks. Take care, everybody.
See ya.